Greetings collectors and welcome to today's retro game review. It's time to take a trip to the Wild West today in one of Konami's excellent shoot 'em up brawlers. It's time to hitch your wagon and take a look back at Sunset Riders for the Sega Mega Drive and Sega Genesis. Originally found in the arcade, Sunset Riders found its way into the home via the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis and of course the Super Nintendo. The Sega 16-bit edition made its debut in 1992, whereas the Super Nintendo release was pushed back to June of the following year. It's not 100% confirmed why this was, but it's fair to say that we can make a good guess, and that's due to Nintendo's guidelines around less than family-friendly or controversial game content. Both the Sega and Nintendo versions do differ from the arcade original, but it's the Sega edition that is considered the non-censored release. More on this later though. The game concept is very simple. You play the role of either Cormano or Billy the bounty hunter. Your task is to hunt down the most wanted outlaws in the land. Now it's worth saying straight away that Sunset Riders is an excellent game. It's part run and gun, part street brawler. You'll blast your way through the levels, taking down the scum of the local town. They'll sneak up behind you, jump out of windows, and generally appear from anywhere. There's plenty to shoot up here, and the game moves at a really nice pace. Along the way, you'll be able to shoot certain villains in order for them to drop helpful pickups, such as the multi-shot. This is an absolute must for some of the levels, as the enemies tend to swarm in large numbers at points. On the surface, you'd have to say that all round, Sunset Riders is a really great game. Its bright and bold take on the Wild West really gives the gamer something to enjoy. It's only when you look a little deeper do you see the controversy. Take level 1 for example. You'll enter what we assume is a saloon. By the way that the lady is dressed, it's clear that Sega weren't afraid to allow the gamers to infer that there was perhaps more going on than meets the eye. The Super Nintendo version features a more conservatively dressed barmaid. Okay, so there's some implied adult themes here. It's the Wild West, I think we can handle it. Things take a bit of a darker turn later on though, as your primary goal is to get to the end of the level by massacring a vast number of the population of Native Americans. I'm fully aware of the history between the new settlers and the indigenous people of America, but something in this just seems a little bit risky to put in a mainstream game. Nintendo certainly thought so, and censored the Native American sprites with standard outlaws. Sega went all the way with the stereotypical bow and arrow affair, and Native Americans throwing around fire. Now, I'm not generally one for censorship in games. The game is what it is. Like it or not, it's up to the game developers and publishers to release their version of the game. People can choose to be offended or not. I'll leave that one with you. It would be interesting though to see if the game were to be released today, whether a younger gaming generation would find this inclusion offensive or not. Still, at least they didn't make up any offensive names. Oh, well, Chief Scalpin, but they could have done worse I suppose. Let's see what he's like in-game. Me ready for powwow. So yeah, me ready for powwow. I'm getting the sense that this game is riding quite close to the wind when it comes to casual racism. Again, I'm personally not offended, but I dare say that there's a cautionary tale in here somewhere. Sunset Riders is a product of its time, and perhaps we should have known better as a society not to stereotype a group of people in this way. Having said that, all of the enemies, bosses, and even the lead characters themselves follow the exaggerated classic Wild West stereotypes. No one group in particular is being picked out here for the stereotypical treatment. Everyone is getting an equal dose. So what possibly seems a bit off in today's climate actually made a lot of sense back when it was released. I'd be a hypocrite if I was offended here, based on the amount of fun I had killing all the enemies in the game. For what it's worth, I don't think that there was intent to offend, and that's a good start. After all, Nintendo's decision to sidestep the inclusion of Native American characters at all also isn't an answer to the issue. You can't just whitewash a game and claim the high ground either. Perhaps the sensible solution would just be to tone things down a little. Include the indigenous people, just drop the provocative names, and don't play into the stereotypes of broken English and having a powwow. Right, with that, Sunset Riders is still going to entertain you. The levels show some great variation. Chases on trains, platforming on the back of cattle, balancing on ledges, it's all really solid fun and exactly what makes a great game. The boss fights are really well done. Whether it's a fight on a moving train or a standoff in the town, there really is something for everyone. Between levels, there's also bonus rounds to help you pick up extra points and lives. You'll need them too. Sunset Riders isn't a particularly easy game. There's certainly points where you almost certainly fall foul of a stray stick of dynamite or be ganged up on from both directions. Although on the difficult side, the game does make you want to come back for more, so it's certainly not rage quit material and offers decent replay value. Here in the UK, the Sega Mega Drive version of Sunset Riders is very much sought after. In recent weeks, the game has sold anywhere up to £50 on the online auctions. This is getting on for the $70 mark at today's exchange rates. It is great packaging though, and the cover is instantly recognisable. Sunset Riders is a game that really has kept its appeal. It feels very fresh to play even today. There's a bit of everything in here. Fast-paced action, power-ups and set pieces. If you can look past some of the rather dated stereotypes, then Sunset Riders is going to give you a great retro gaming experience. Sunset Riders may be a little on the expensive side to collect, but if you're a fan of 90s Konami games, then this game will certainly appeal to you. Sunset Riders is definitely worth a playthrough if you can hunt it down. Hello again, I hope you enjoyed today's show and thank you for the view. Remember, you can always comment, like, subscribe and find us on the social media sites below. Happy collecting!